So you're gonna have 3 times $2.
So I cut back the problem numbers. So somebody said, let's go over the homework.
That was me.
Okay. So, yeah, I can do 8. What else? 8.
For the quiz.
Oh, for the quiz?
Yeah.
Oh, did I not do 8?
For the 1 and 2.
No, we didn't.
Yeah, I did 8. I just erased it. It was written right here.
Yeah.
4b minus, no. 5 minus 2. You want me to do that one? Okay. Those two values are being multiplied by a. Both of them are. We don't know what a is. But we can assume that b and a are different numbers because we used different variables. So if I have 3 times a, that's like a plus a plus a. Is that right? So now if I add another a, this right here is the same as 4 times a. So this becomes 4 times a. That's one, this is one way to look at it. Another way to look at this one over here would be that if I had 5 b's, they're all positive b's. And now if I take away, this over here is the same as b plus b, but I want to take away both of those. So if I take those away from this, you're left with 3 b's. That's one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is, in this case here, 3 times a plus 1 times a is the same. And if I was to rewrite this with the distributive property, there's an a in each of these numbers. So these are, a is a factor. It's a number that's used to multiply and get 3 times a. So if I put a 3 here, if you remove the parentheses, you have to multiply using the distributive property. And if I put a 1 over here, the a times the 1 would be the same as the 1a. So this is 3 plus 1 inside parentheses. Then we can add 3 and 1 equals 4 multiplied by a and just change the order of multiplication to call it 4a. You can do the same thing over here. 5b minus 2b. This right here is the same as b being multiplied by 5 and then being multiplied by a negative 2. 5 subtract 2 is 3 times b. That's the second way to look at it. The simple way?
Yeah, just like add an a to the 3.
Yeah, just add 1 to the 3 and call it 4.
And just minus 5 minus 2.
Yep, have 5, take away 2 of them, and then you have 3. Yeah, that's how I would get to it, but some people need to get to the point of looking at it like that. Some people, this kind of stuff makes a lot of sense to. Some people need to break it up into pieces like this. There's lots of ways to look at it. Some people need to see algebra tiles. And they think of, well, if A is this long, and I had 4 of them, or no, 3 of them, and then I added another one, so here's 3 and here's 1. Now I've got 4 A's. And if I had B, that's a different size, because it's a different value. And if I started out with 5 of them, that were all positives, and then I came along and I said, I have 2 of them that are negative B, those 2 cancel those 2, and you're left with 3. Because a number plus its opposite makes nothing. Any number plus its opposite is equal to 0. This doesn't work here either, does it? Now you're competing with me. That's hard. That's like being Aaron Rodgers and competing for whatever the guy was that used to be on Jeopardy. No one's ever going to replace him. Not even Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron,
Alex Trebek.
Alex Trebek, yeah. Even though
isn't
he's not
Aaron
alive.
Rodgers a baseball player?
Football player. Alex Trebek is dead, so
Yeah, well, I knew that.
football.
I was going to guess he was.
Yeah, this is baseball.
I was like, oh, isn't that guy dead from cancer? Then literally 2 days later, he died from cancer. And I was like, yeah, so I killed Alex Trebek.
Yeah, I'd like you to sit on the side of the table that everyone gets to look at your back, please, okay? Thanks. As hard as that is to turn your back on Camellia, please do it. Okay, so the homework that I gave to you then.
2.
1 and 2.
I gave you 2 questions. You want to ask me about those? Do we need to discuss them, or should we move out of that?
We should discuss that.
Okay. So for the first question. Yeah, I know. Oh, ball. It's not an easy one. So the first question, it says Tamika found that 100 small paper clips together weigh about 50 grams. And what they would like you to do is fill in the blanks with the number of paper clips, the weight per paper clip, and the total weight. So they're having you set up an equation. So does the problem tell us the number of paper clips?
Yes.
And that is how many?
100.
Okay, so that's the first blank. And then they show multiplication. Does it show you the weight per paper clip?
No.
No, so if it's not known, what might we write here?
W.
A variable.
Weight divided by the.
So we don't want to, see, I think one thing with this writing of equations and solving equations is some of us want to jump all the way to the end because we can see it and organize it in our head. And what I'm trying to get you to do is to take what's in your head and organize it on paper.
I think you just said that because that's what it says on here. It says weight divided by.
Yeah, okay, but, okay. So then what's the total weight? 50 grams. Okay. So then what are we supposed to do?
Divide 50 by 100. 1 over 100. Just do the opposite of multiplication.
Well, do the opposite of multiplication. Where?
50 divided by 100.
So we would take 50 divided by 100,
Yeah. Okay, sure.
and we would also do 100 divided by 100 on this side. Because 100 divided by 100 is just 1. And that's how you get yourself to having a W. Yes?
I did the fraction.
You did a fraction?
Yeah, like times 1.
Okay. So if we get done with this, 5 over 10 is the same as 0.5 grams. Okay, so the other way to do this one, Clover, so you're saying you did this?
Yeah.
Okay, that works too. Not a problem. Go either way. I think you will find when there are whole numbers like this in the original problem, using division works just fine. But if this number is a fraction or a decimal, then sometimes the multiplication by the reciprocal is a little easier. It all depends upon how you look at it. So that's how you set up the first one. What about the second one? A Cheshire, how do you say that?
Cheshire.
A cat slept 375 hours in a 30-day month.
Nice.
So it's just to write an equation with C as the unknown to determine how many hours on average the cat slept per day. So it's the same thing. I think we have a number times a number is equal to another number. We have to figure out what we multiply and what we have for an answer. You think so?
How could it say 27 hours in a day?
Figure it out. That's your map? No, I said 27. I'm aware.
How do you do that then? This Cheshire cat
That's the map
walk
problem.
time,
That's the map problem.
Alice in Wonderland.
That's the rabbit.
Alice in Wonderland has nothing to do with that.
There's a Cheshire
So
cat.
with the first problem, this is the number of paper clips.
The one with the big smile.
And then this is the weight in grams per paper clip. And when these get multiplied out, the paper clips go away and the grams get left for an answer. So in setting up a problem here where you have, I'm gonna get rid of this so we don't think we have to have fractions. We have a number times another number is equal to. If you read the word problem and they ask the question, what does your answer need to be for units? So it needs to be in hours. And it needs to be 375 hours?
Yes.
Okay, so then there's two numbers here. One is probably given and the other is not. What is one of the numbers which is given? 30 what?
30 days.
30 days. So if we have that, we have to have something here which is going to be hours, and then something on the bottom here that's going to cancel our days, because the days have to go away from this side of the equation. So we have to have days here, and then hours remain in our answer. And if you can see where the units are, the numbers that get to put into place will make more sense. So what's the relationship between hours and days? This is going to be the number of hours that that cat sleeps in one day, right?
Yes.
So pick a variable.
C.
C, that's what they tell you to use. And then if you just look at this as C multiplied by 30 is equal to 375, then the procedure that you follow is, how do you solve this to find out what C is? By both sides. So then you get 12 and a half?
Yep.
So the cat sleeps 12 and a half hours a day. Multiplied by 30 days a month, if the cat sleeps 375 hours in a month. Yes? You good? Okay. Help me out. What time do you guys blast off?
Now.
Right. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18 of you.
Yeah, there's 18.
Wait, when do we get it?
And each person one. Don't let them choose or it'll take you an hour and a half.
Wait, like walk around?
Yeah.
Can you agree now?
Don't get one.
One for sleeping.
How's this?
I'm spending a lot of time staring back here, waiting on you. So, I'm gonna ask you to hold this. I've been looking at this area, so then if you have it, then you can be on the path and show them to you as well.
Mr. Vegas, there's a Sharpie in here.
Life. I'm sure nobody's ever written out one of these with a Sharpie before. Okay. So, no doodling on the board, you gotta doodle, go to your notebook. Okay? We love art, but we don't wanna see art on these boards right now. So here we are, first problem. Solve for x, show your steps. Yeah, do it the way I'm teaching you. Otherwise, it'd be just like do it. You can either multiply by the reciprocal or you can divide by the coefficient. Either one. Okay, once one of us comes by and likes your work on the first one, you can try the second one. Divide by, and use a fraction bar on both sides. Switch it, divide using a fraction bar on both sides. Now the division symbol. Okay, so what you did is you did it 2 ways, but how did you come up with that number?
Yeah, exactly.
Right, so you did it in your head, right? This one here, you divide 12 by 4, and you have 3. So I want you to be doing the same work on both sides of the equal signs. So when you do that, draw a line down here, whatever happens on the left side has to happen on the right side.
You saw that? Am I good? I did it in my head. There you go.
That's not what I'm teaching you.
Okay, we're not looking at it.
But I'm teaching you the right amount. So begin by putting a line down the middle. Like this. You did like a 10. You do that whole thing, put a line down the middle. You go this side, you go that side. The truth's gonna be this one. Multiply by x. If you don't want to be wiping them with your hands, you can change that. If you don't want to be wiping them with your hands. You can multiply by the reciprocal, or you can divide by the coefficient.
Oh, Mr.
Wow, 15 up. Okay, so if you were dividing by the coefficient, you can set it up like so. And then you would have x is 28, and then you're set. If you were going to multiply by the coefficient of 4 is a fourth. And then you would take that times a fourth. And you would end up with exactly the same thing down here. Work that one if you haven't already.
is that? What is that? I was really hoping it did.
I tried.
Yeah, you did.
For the first one.
On the opposite is
I'm on the board. I'm just 3 seconds.
What?
Add 4.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Oh, there's an next one.
I think it's not because you have.
I don't get why that's really good.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know.
'cause 4
Is that just like a statement? Oh, yeah, it's like it's like something minus the.
It's not my board.
Yeah, just like write the problem. And then
Five. Oh, I missed it.
but five doesn't go.
What's it, what is this? Or hold on, hold on, negative.
One doesn't go. Wait, no, wait. Okay, negative D is 1. It's like one
Okay,
thingy, right?
Miss Krasinski.
Yeah, so divide it, Mark.
So you can't do it by numbers. So it would be the same as 44.
Yeah, it's close enough. It's look
Right?
good.
I don't know.
You're not
It's like if D is not a number,
like John Krasinski.
it either has to be 40.9 or like
I have no idea what you're saying.
Yeah.
No, my last name is Mark.
He's like, what can.
Because it's a negative on the top, it's gotta stay negative when you multiply.
Vascular analysis.
So you have the 1 in the negative. and that's the 4.
This makes the whole thing. Just putting the negative sign there. And then we'll hold it.
So you divide a negative by a negative, what is that?
You have to be set
Vascular analysis.
It has to be this, or it's.
like, cause doesn't putting the whole negative, the negative on the top of it, negative 44.
Yeah, but a negative divided by a negative. Because you're gonna, the reason you do it this way.
I always want to find a positive variable.
You can't lose it with the 4, so the 4 is.
So it'd be negative 104 divided by negative.
No, D is actually equal.
It does make the whole thing negative, but then
Good point. What is D being multiplied?
Do they multiply
by D.
by B?
Did you get the next one?
Well, where was the next one?
By D.
Negative, oh. Negative D.
That might be the key to you figuring that one out. Are you guys all working on that one? So you're still not showing me the way I'm doing it with the fraction bars and multiplying bars.
What do you think?
Sweet.
What should be that?
We're not giving him the answer, we're just giving him the
If you do
Don't ever use the.
like that, then it's negative. So it's either that or the other way around.
He's so confused.
It's D.
Negative D equals 40.9. So
Then that would make
is it a trick question? And D is, there's literally no multiplying. That's just what it equals.
No, but Ryan,
That's 40.9.
it's like turning from a negative to a positive, so it has to be multiplied by a negative to be positive.
So negative 1.
Wait, so we just have to figure out what one? I think we just like find out what's being multiplied.
I mean, I did get it, but it's not, it was not in my head, though.
Not until you're done with the negative D one.
I don't really get what we're supposed to like figure out for the
I read
number.
it like that. I'm so lazy that I'm actually the right person, but
No, look at, I'm doing Camellia, this is Camellia.
yeah, I look like.
I'm not,
Yeah, it has to be a negative. Yeah. Like, where am I supposed to put that?
No, it's not that fancy, this is how we're.
I'm just too lazy to lift my pencil off the paper, so it's just.
Yours are right, negative.
Literally, yeah, I feel you. Wait, is yours just like a whole bunch of like straight up lines?
Yeah, mine's just.
There's a fraction
Where
flipped
you go,
upside
here's
down.
your. But it's still drawing. Ryan, this is you.
Negative D
And your net total is
Okay. So with the negative D is equal to 40.9, with this one up here, a lot of you I saw would do this, and this is perfectly okay. This is all good. And then he went divided by -1, -1, and then he had D is equal to negative 40.9. That's sweet. That works. However, if you think of it this way, it might save you some pencil lead. What is the reciprocal of -1?
1.
Okay, let me define reciprocal for you again. The reciprocal of a number is what you multiply by to equal 1.
1.
Oh, X.
So Emma said, what's a reciprocal? I said, well, you take a fraction and you flip it upside down.
Oh, God.
Orion, over here. All, please. So I said to Emma, if you have a fraction and then you flip it upside down, that's the reciprocal. The reason that it's the reciprocal is because when you multiply it equals 1. And if this was a -1/2, then the reciprocal would be a -2/1. And still, its product is 1. So what number, if this is really a -1, what number do you multiply -1 by to equal 1? -1. So if we just take -1 times this, and this times -1, you're multiplying by the reciprocal. So in other words, the opposite of both sides. If the opposite of D is 40.9, then D has to be -40.9. Okay, go to this one. There you go. That one you're not going to do with division. You've got to use multiplication by the reciprocal.
No, that's my last name. Yes. Doing it like this is kind of fun. Jenny.
That's my mom's name.
Snow.
I'm going to do the multiplication by the reciprocal.
DK?
So what was the original problem? That's the original problem. Yeah, so this
Brian, you really will never guess it.
Positive.
French
so that, so it's got to be a negative, because a negative comes a negative, will make it positive 96. That makes sense.
It's wrong, apparently.
Okay. All right, -9 is equal to -5. So you know that the sign.
French is just that bad. So he knows French. Oh, wait, it's magnetic. There's very little that's there.
Oh. It's probably because you're hungry.
So,
Wait, is there resistance for your version?
oh, you're negative 9.
There's definitely, the erases are definitely magnetic.
No, this one's like, oh, yeah.
It's where
So I did, I did the reciprocal of 8 over 5, which is February, and it's still has to be negative. And then you do that on both sides, and it cancels out the first fraction. And then I find the decimal number of the fraction instead, because it makes it one fraction. Oh, this is how it works for me. It's scary, like, well, you don't have to, I do, but you don't. Have you watched the new huh? You have to watch it, because I don't like it.
I'm not a fan.
Yeah, you have to watch it for you want to work with
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'm looking at your work. There's still problems up there. I haven't seen negative 856, is equal to 96.
Negative 60?
Yeah, yeah, if you do a negative.
So where's
Oh, wait,
negative
my.
856 equal to 96?
Negative 9.
Negative 4, yeah.
Oh.
This is the original problem, right?
Negative 25.
This is the original.
Was it 9 divided by negative 25?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
You have something like that, yeah, you sure should.
Katie.
Because if you look at this, it does go into 14.
No. Because you have to, you're dividing by whatever's with the variable, right?
Well, what did he do?
So you got rid of the 9, but that didn't get rid of the, so these are connected. The coefficient, the number, and the variable are connected, and you have to split them up. You have to break them. So to break them up, you have to do the
Oh, well, I
opposite,
guess.
inverse operation.
Yeah.
So rewrite it, and then break up the coefficient with the variable.
Oh, yeah.
So yours is, 0.67. Yeah.
G equals multiplication. No, but I don't think it means grams. I think it's just
You gotta
G.
break up the coefficient. And
Yeah.
how do you get rid of it?
Oh,
Is it 25 grams?
wait, G is a,
25 grams
wait,
versus just
is
G.
25 being multiplied?
It's 25 G.
It's being multiplied.
Yeah, that's a variable.
Oh, okay.
That's a good
That's
question.
grams.
So it's like, wait, that is a
So
good
this
question.
one right here, this is the original.
Well, these two are together, so you have to break them up. So how would you break those up?
You have to do on that side. Well, what do I do on this side so that?
Well, you have a negative 25 and a
Divide by 8.
what is going on between them?
Divide by 8.
Are they being added?
And you gotta get rid of the 5
Yes,
now.
what do you do? Where's the line? Yeah, and then you have to divide. Yeah. Is it negative or positive?
Those were, you guys were looking at what I did on the left side of the board. I was talking about reciprocals. The reciprocal of a half is equal to 2 over 1 because of the multiply. The 1 is to be multiplied.
You're helping him today, it reminds me of you. Helping him, it's like they use your words. No.
So, when you have a -8
That's a
sets,
wild
and you
one,
multiply
yes.
by their I said that, what would be the next symbol?
Okay, could you guys make sure that your boards are clean within reason? That I get in here, on your way out, your little eraser units, and your whiteboard markers in this little box inside the plastic box.
That on this side.
And your homework is on the board. If you didn't see me write it, it's in purple.